All right, so here we're talking about histograms one more time. A couple things I want to be able to go back before we kind of skim over this whole definition of what a histogram is. Here's the key thing. First of all, it's a graphical representation of quantitative data. So it's visual data, and it's about quantitative variables, not categorical, but quantitative. The variable of interest is on the horizontal axis. The frequency measure is on the vertical axis. These are the things to keep in mind for the most. So, numerical data, horizontal axis, the variable of interest. Vertical axis is the frequency count. So if we look right here, this is 10 to 14, right? 10 to 14 comes across. That's a count of 4. Okay. And so if I go back to my data set, here you can see that's a count of 4. Right. So this is our histogram. Now, how do we create one of these in Excel? Well, there's several ways to do this. The PowerPoint is going to go over ways of being able to create a histogram using a tool called the Data Analysis Toolpak. I'm going to let you go through this on your own if you choose to, and I'm going to show you how to get started with it. But I'm not going to go through it in great detail because there are several other tools that are available for us to do this. So let me kind of pause here for one moment and let's kind of go to Excel. And I want to show you where your data analysis Toolpak is going to be. So the important thing here is to look in your data tab, and over here to the right you should have something here. It's called data analysis. Now if you don't have that, it's probably because you haven't loaded it yet into your Excel. One way of loading it is to go to File, go to Options, scroll to here, come all the way to Add-ins, scroll to the bottom, go to Excel Add-ins, hit Go, and make sure that you have Data Analysis Toolpak checked. Right, when you do, hit OK, and it'll check it. And it might take about a couple minutes, but then you may have to even restart Excel. But then when you go back to your data tab, you'll see that the Data Analysis Toolpak is there. Okay, so that's going to be available to you. But what I want to be able to show you is a quick, dirty way of being able to create a histogram in Excel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this data here. I'm going to add it to a new sheet. I'm going to paste the values. And I just really want to get these here because I know that my audit days, and then this is the frequency count, right? So simply, I'm going to select those cells. We're going to go to Insert. Oh, excuse me. Go to Insert, and I want to do a simple column chart, and boom, right? That is the most basic way I can get into a some kind of frequency distribution. Of course, might want to go in and do some formatting. I might want to reduce the width to 0. Some people like that. Some people like to have a little bit of space. So these are all things that can be done. But you can see that the bottom is the audit days and the count is there as well. All right, let's go back to our PowerPoint. So there's another key factor here about histograms that you should know, and it's this whole idea of skewness. And this all really has to do with the shape. And there are measures of skewness that we're not going to worry about, but what we want to do is be able to look at a picture of a histogram and determine its skewness. So for example, here are several pictures. So here's what's important to know is that this one in the upper left is skewed left. This one is skewed right. Now, if I was going to draw a line representing this, see, it would have a slope and then it would quickly drop off. This one would be just the opposite. It would have a steep slope and then slowly drop to the right. This down at the bottom left is symmetric, and this is our typical bell curve or normal distribution. And this one on the bottom right-hand side is a real quick up and a real quick down, but then it slowly comes off to the right. So they consider this highly skewed. All right. Now, if you were given this picture and you didn't have these descriptions at the top, how would you know what is left and what is right? I mean, the symmetrical is pretty obvious, right? You have a center line, and you can figure out that they look all about the same. Well, imagine that this was a hill, and you had a snowboarder at the top, and he's going to go ahead and snowboard, and he'll snowboard down the less steeper path, I guess, where there's some direction to go, and he's going to slide left. So we know that that one is skewed to the left. Again, imagine our snowboarder, and he's going to go down, and he'll slide down this way, so that way he's going to go to the right. So this is skewed right. And then here we have a black diamond trail, and of course, if it was a male snowboarder, he would just chicken out and take the gondola back down. But if it was a female snowboarder, she would be all to it, and then she would then go down this black diamond trail, and she would go off to the right. So this is highly skewed right. Okay. So that's how we determine skewness when it comes to histograms.